Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode with the Anxious Resistance. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the basics. We're going to be talking about depression and anxiety and exactly what that looks like in your brain. Because a lot of people understand how it feels. They may know somebody who goes through it, but they don't understand that this is actually a biological thing that happens inside the brain. And I'm going to explain to you how it works. So, the first thing that we need to talk about and understand is just how the brain communicates. So, we have what are called neurons. So, the neurons are the basic cell of the brain, and what they do, their whole job is to communicate, to understand, and they control how you feel. So, to explain this, you have to understand just how these cells communicate with each other. Most people see the pictures and videos of these electrical currents that run through these cells and whatnot, but that's only half of the story. The other half is that these cells communicate chemically. And what they do is that electrical signal travels all the way down to the end of that neuron, that brain cell, and then what happens is a chemical communication. And so chemicals are released into this space that is known as the synaptic cleft. What happens is that these small molecules are released into the space between the two neurons. And this is where the real communication happens. These chemicals, or these molecules, will bind to the receptor on the other cell. And this creates a response in this cell. And this is how our mood works, okay? Our mood is based on these chemicals and these receptors that are activated. And in the case of anxiety and depression, we talk about serotonin. Serotonin is kind of that big chemical that you hear of that has so much to do with mood disorders and things. And what happens is you don't have enough of the serotonin. In this picture, there are these little blue things. You don't have enough of it in this space. So you don't feel good when you don't have enough. So there are a lot of these different chemicals that control different functions of the body. There's serotonin, there's dopamine, there's glutamate. There's a whole list of them. But the one that we particularly focus on with anxiety and depression is that level of serotonin. Okay, so the first thing that we need to understand is that the serotonin needs to be produced, and it's made inside these neurons, and you have to have the right nutrients in order to create them. So that's one problem you could have with serotonin is you don't have the right stuff to make it. Next, it's stored. And then after it's stored in these little vesicles, these little like bubbles almost, they are then released when the neuron is triggered to communicate with the next neuron. And they're released into that synaptic cleft, or that space that I was talking about before. And this is where the real action happens. So they activate the next neuron by binding to these little receptors, which creates a response in the other neuron. Okay, so in the case of anxiety and depression, what happens is when you're depressed, you often don't create enough of the serotonin. You don't have enough to release. Your body is unable to produce that response. And when this happens, you become sluggish, you become depressed, you become unable to function like you were before. Your thoughts are slowed. Your ability to learn isn't quite the same. And really what you need is an increase of the serotonin. Okay, and on the flip side, anxiety, and the two are very related, and you'll understand why in just a second. In anxiety, you don't have a problem creating the serotonin. You have plenty of the serotonin, but your body is running at an extreme. You're running at a heightened level. Your heart rate is high. Your blood pressure is high. You're breathing fast. It's basically like an exercise. And after a while, what happens in order to do this is you have to keep using the serotonin over and over and over again to keep your body going. And that's what the anxiety is doing. It's making you go, go, go. And eventually, you run out of serotonin. You don't have a problem making it like in depression, but you run out of it. You just can't keep up with the demand. Is why anxiety so often leads to depression. Is because your body can't produce that, and you come to a depressive state. What is there to be done about this? Now, there's medications that do different things to help increase the serotonin, and that's the next step in our process here is the reuptake. Is what happens is once these are used, they're taken back up, and then they're broken down and oftentimes reused again to create more serotonin. But what medications do, and I explain this fully in detail in another video, is that they stop the reuptake, so they keep them in this cleft. So another thing that medications can do to help increase the level of serotonin, whether you're having anxiety or you're having depression, is the metabolism is blocked. This is what MAOIs do. Is they keep the serotonin from being broken down so you can immediately just use it again. Okay, so hopefully now you understand how depression and anxiety look in the brain and how it's something that's just oftentimes out of your control. It's biological factors that cause it, and there's just things that you can't do about it. You have to fix this system in order to feel better. And just as a disclaimer, this is the current theory on how depression and anxiety work, and is a working theory. And it's based on the fact that the medications work and help. Now, depression and anxiety are both pretty complicated problems and can have many causes, but this is the main way it's treated. And I hope watching this video helps you understand your own condition better, or if you're a healthcare provider, it helps you understand maybe what your patients are going through and how they're feeling and why it may be a little bit out of their control. And again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It means so much to me. It means so much to our community, the Anxious Resistance. And we're doing our very best at the Anxious Resistance to help people be educated, to help people feel inspired and overcome their mental health challenges. And we want to thank you for being a part of that. And to continue to support us, please like this video. Please subscribe to our channel. Check us out on social media. Our website has all kinds of videos and different articles and things on it that you can read and will be a benefit to you. And thank you so much for watching. This is the Anxious Resistance.